So we're back, everybody. Hi, I'm Jeff Burr with the Tattooed Spirit. It's been a few days since our last video. I'm pretty sure that we left off talking about the Four of Wands, the importance to bring to your life the sense of celebration, being actively joyful in the activities of your life. It's the Wands suit. It's the suit of doing. That is how you bring activities of joy to bring better results from your activities. Does that make sense? All right, here we go. Now we're getting into the fives. This is the first time we're talking about a five in the minor arcana. This is the Five of Wands, the Five of Fire. Now, it's generally important to understand. In fact, I'm almost going to say it's almost always important to understand. Almost always important to understand that in the tarot, fives generally mean conflict and loss. Okay, you don't get that when you get to the Wands suit. But Jeff, we didn't even talk about the cups or the swords or the coins yet. And just for the sense of comparison, let me show you what the Five of Cups looks like as far as five representing conflict and loss. I'm not even going to talk about this until we get to this when we talk about the cups, but look at this image. Can you see, can you sense, can you intuit conflict and loss just from this image? I'm going to bet that you can. Now we're going to talk about conflict and loss as a five in the suit of coins. I'm not going to say, oh, we're going to get to it when we get to it, but can you feel conflict and loss? Maybe some desperation, maybe some hurt. Okay, and back to the wands. And then the final suit that we have not talked about yet is the swords. Can you see defeat, conflict, loss in swords? All right. Now we get to the wands. We get to the fire suit. Fire, the suit of wands, does something interesting to the influence of the five, generally meaning conflict and loss. The fire transforms this conflict into cooperation. And when you understand that, you get a better understanding of this card when you look at the image. You see these group of young characters just sort of acting out this play-fighting type of situations. There's nobody trying to hurt each other. When this card presents itself, you're going to realize that there's just activity of commerce. There's just activity of doings. There's just going to be you doing things, the people in your life interacting with you, you being busy. And it's all good. I mean, look at even the expressions on their faces. There may be concern in their faces. Your subconscious will pick up that there's just movement. And that's what wands is. That's what wands are. That's what the fire does is it moves. It moves onward. It moves upward. It just envelops and takes over. When it presents upside down, that's whenever the competition that's when the cooperation turns more of like a negative competition. There's maybe some deceit involved. Maybe you're trying to lie to yourself about a particular thing that you're into. Depending, obviously, wherever this comes from, or wherever position this card shows up, you're going to realize that maybe it's not the most fair of game. Okay, maybe there's some sneaky underhandedness. There's a couple other adjectives that I wrote down. It just generally means like maybe like disputes, arguments, trickery, and just basic sort of deceit. And because we're teaching spiritual tarot, as well as, of course, you can use this for divination, it could mean other people maybe having alternative motives that you should question, look into, and play safe with yourself moving forward. But understand that it's the cooperation with others in the activity of life, in your life, in this world, that really creates the world that you're hoping to get to. And this is a wonderful, active number five, that is a cooperative experience with those around you that's just represented in the Five of Wands. Another interesting note, the last big five that we talked about, you remember this? The hierophant, we called this like wisdom and faith. What kind of conflict or loss could you possibly have associated with this particular card? You remember this was about other people's belief systems. And could you imagine, or can you imagine, how important that card is and why it even came after the emperor, which is like the rules of society, the rules of law, in combination with all the passions and the things that matter softly to you, all the qualitative aspects of your life before we get to the quantitative structures of your life. The conflict and loss that you may be considering, and I think it's important to understand that it's just an aspect of this card about other people's belief systems, is that this is the card, if you can remember, refresh it, go back to the 5th video on this, is that it's the idea of losing your sense of authority to somebody else who you perceive as the authority figure. That could be the shade of this theme of conflict and loss with the number 5, with the big 5 that we talked about with this card right here. Okay, remember, and I'm always going to hopefully keep on reviewing all the other cards as we're moving forward, but in this card you are actually represented by being these characters down here, being faced with this authority figure telling you the way you're doing it's not right, this is the way you're doing, just have faith that this is the way the world works, just have faith that this is how the universe provides or how God favors you, however that is. This could be a big card, the very first big card of loss in your experience, in your lessons of this life school that you're here to live, is that maybe there's something outside of yourself telling you that the path that you think that you should be on isn't the right one. That could be a big sense of conflict and loss within yourself. This card causes a lot of problems for a lot of people. Trust me, in the therapeutic environment, to be sure. Okay, so I hope that talking about all those other cards gives you a better idea of this particular 5 of Wands, this fiery active motion. This is cooperation. This is more corruption. This is more conflict. This is more disputes. Depending on where it comes up for yourself. If you're just doing a 1-card spread and this card comes up, and if it comes up like this just knows that you should be in the mix. You should be just in it just for the experience of the experience. Okay? And it's all good. Start questioning yourself, your own motives. Look into your own subconscious possible trimmings about maybe taking you to ends where you don't want to go with this upside down reversed meeting. Okay? Next, we take this to the card of basic communication and where you take the meanings of all of these activities with the others in your life, how you can affect begin to affect the rest of the world when we begin to talk about the 6 of Wands next. I'll see you in just a moment.